Welcome to Box Out Banter, where we are a month away from the playoffs.
Holy shit.
I'm Chris Okamura. This is always Jordan Christmas. What's going on, Jordan?
When you say that we're a month away from the playoffs, it's actually surreal. Time has flown by. It felt like I was watching the bubble just yesterday. It felt like last week the season was suspended. It feels like we've been living in suspended time, but we're here. Just ready for the playoffs, I guess. Is 16 more games or something like that. Some teams are playing like 17 games in the last 21 days or something like that.
Insane.
This is going to be wild, but yeah, we're here. Or at this point, at least.
So I do want to tell a story first. We were talking about
this before,
yes.
We got it.
This needs to be on the podcast.
For full context, Chris posted a very adorable video of his daughter hooping in the backyard, making a shot. And I'm sure it was a very proud dad moment for you, but there is a lot more backstory to this. We wanted to wait until the podcast to share with you, esteemed listeners.
Yeah.
So I'm giving you the floor. Got
it. So like I was telling Jordan, so we had a basketball hoop in my backyard forever. Since I was a little kid. We used to play 3-on-3 and like we used to have people all over all the time. We used to do 3-on-3 basketball tournaments in my backyard with like 20 people. We used to play 3-on-3. Good time. Good memories as a kid. So then I got married a couple years ago and we used that backyard for the reception. And so we moved the basketball hoop away and we just never moved it back. And so we were watching there's a show on Disney Plus. If anyone is a basketball fan, if you're listening to this and you're not a basketball fan, why the fuck are you listening to this?
Please keep listening.
Just keep listening anyway, but like, why? There's a show called Big Shots. And so essentially the basic story is John Stamos plays a big shot college coach. He looks just like Rick Pitino, which is kind of crazy. They make him look, slick back hair and kind of good looking, whatever. And so, he gets in trouble for throwing a chair at a ref. The little Bobby Knight.
What, really?
Yeah, he gets in. So the basic premise is he gets kicked out of NCAA because he's toxic and he's like, it's the Bobby Knight thing, right?
I was gonna say it sounds like somebody just wanted to write a twisted story of the Bobby Knight incident.
Yeah. So he gets fired and he's like toxic and no one wants him. So the only job that he can get to like continue his career and try to get back to college is coaching a all girls private school high school team in San Diego.
Great location.
Right.
San Diego.
Beautiful location, obviously. And it's a private school, so it's fucking gorgeous. So anyway, it's him sort of meeting these girls and learning how to bond and learning all the kind of traditional Disney sports movie tropes. So if you've seen Remember the Titans or the Rookie or any of those, you kind of understand Mighty Ducks. You understand the premise of this show and you understand how this is going to work.
It's just expanded out into multiple episodes.
Yeah. So first episode's great. My dad's in love with it. My dad loves that kind of stuff, and so do I. And so it's a great show. And so my daughter watched that with us, and then wanted to go play basketball. And my household, I basketball's on 24/7 almost. So it irritates her to a certain extent, but this is the first time that she showed interest in like wanting to go play basketball. So all right, so we moved the basketball hoop with some difficulty, but we got it moved back. I'm old, man. I'm old, and we haven't gone outside in over 2 years. So then
basketball hoop a little tougher than you thought, huh?
Yeah. But it's good because then it gives me and my dad both like an excuse to go out and shoot and kind of move around a little bit. I've gone running a little bit since like the pandemic stuff has loosened up, and like I'm getting my vaccine shot on. I'm getting my first vaccine shot on Friday, so I'm pretty excited.
I'm getting
about
mine
that.
Next Tuesday. I'm pretty stoked.
Yeah. So as we start to get back to normal, as we start to get back to sort of what the new normal is, and being able to go outside, it's been a good thing to do. But and anyway. she didn't want to use a real basketball, so you're using these like handballs, like the rubber handballs, whatever. And they're lighter for her to throw, so it's not a big deal. So me and my dad are sitting there trying to shoot and adjust to these lighter balls, and we're clanking them off everywhere because fucking I flick my wrist and that thing flies 30 feet in the air, right?
Right.
And so so we're trying to dial it in, and she's kind of playing around. She's not really shooting; she's just kind of messing around. Dribbling the ball, bouncing the ball around. And I was like, all right, cool, whatever. And so I'm not really paying attention. I'm like half paying attention. As a parent, and you'll learn this when you have kids. You're always like half paying attention. She's always in the corner of your eye.
Yeah.
And
you're
so
always
I'm trying to like
tentative, at least in some degree.
Right. So like I'm just kind of dialing into my shot. I'm trying to focus on that, but I'm still keeping an eye on her. And all of a sudden she runs up to the basket and lays it up and it goes in and I flipped out. And so I like tackled her and I grabbed her. I was like, okay, try it again. And then so it took another 5 or 10 minutes, but I was recording after that. And then that's when we got the second shot of her making the basket. And she made like 4 or 5 of them after that too.
Damn, natural
and
already.
It's the first time of her like actually trying to shoot a basketball.
And she looked super excited when she made it too. That was the best part of the video. Like you could see like an inkling of like her being interested in a sport that you have on in your house, like you said, 24/7, like a sport everybody loves, which is, I think obviously I'm biased, but it's the best sport in the country. The most artistic sport in the country, just in terms of
expressive.
Yeah, exactly. Which is art in a way. It's very express. That's where the art part of it comes in. It's a very expressive game, and I love that.
Sure, absolutely.
You must have been a very proud dad that day. One of your top 5 moments, probably.
Oh, 100%. 100%.
That's awesome. Maybe she'll catch fire one day like Steph Curry when she gets big enough to play in leagues and stuff.
Oh, dude, I was gonna tweet that video at Gino Auriemma. Yo, you ready?
What's up?
I was gonna tweet that video at Gino Auriemma and be like, "Yo, bro, you ready? You ready for the next?"
Yeah. But very heartwarming story. Very awesome video. If you guys don't follow Chris on Twitter, but dude, I got to just mention real quick. Well, not mention real quick because it is a basketball podcast and we do talk about basketball. But the run that Steph Curry is on, and I'm recording this as the Sixers-Warriors game is about to start. Very sad Ben Simmons is not playing tonight. I would have loved to see that matchup of him hounding Steph around the perimeter. But this, I think, and I am a Steph Curry enthusiast, all the way back to the March Madness tournament in his tournament run with Davidson, that I think this is the best I've seen him play. And that is saying something considering he was the league's first unanimous MVP and the best player on a 73-win team, was a 3-time champion, all that stuff. Dude, this guy is averaging, and I have it in front of me because I pulled it up, the last 10 games. The last 10 games Steph Curry is on. Oh, wait, hold on. Basketball Reference is messing with me right now. Okay, last 10 games. Are you ready?
Yes.
39 points a game. 6.4 rebounds per game. 4.5 assists per game. The shooting splits. 54.6 field goal. 48.6% from 3 on 14 attempts per game. Oh, and if you think that's all he's getting his points from, nah. He's going to the free throw line 8 times a game, shooting 90% from the foul line. And by the way, this is obviously like just a very hot streak he's on. He's been dominant all season. And this, for me, as a big Steph Curry fan, has been cathartic because this is who he has always been. Even before Kevin Durant signed, even before going all the way back to his college days, this is who Steph Curry has been. He has been a great player, was already a champion before Kevin Durant arrived, was a back-to-back MVP before Kevin Durant arrived. He was arguably, while Kevin Durant was obviously the better player, I think Steph was the most important player on the Warriors. And after Kevin Durant left, people were like, oh, can Steph carry a team? Can Steph do this? I'm like, did we not just see what he did before Kevin Durant came? And he's proved it. Like, he's proved it again. And I love it, dude. Like, and I think, honestly, he could play for a long time after, like, he's 33 right now. What, you think he has, like, how many years would you say he has with this style of play, which really isn't reliant on athleticism all that much, especially now that he's older? It's all just
he could play forever. It's the Reggie Miller. He's just running off a million screens here.
Yeah, that's the other thing too. Like, his hand-eye coordination won't deteriorate with age. He's only going to get smarter because great players always pick up little tricks as they get older. And he's one of the best conditioned athletes ever. Like, I don't think people realize that he's probably the greatest off-ball force ever. And I'm not just talking about like running off screens and pin downs and stuff like that. This guy leverages his gravity, setting screens, springing people free. Like, he's the central force on and off the ball for the Warriors. And he's doing it with guys like Kent Bazemore missing free throws in crunch time, Draymond Green missing a layup against the Celtics in crunch time. He's doing it with G League people. And Draymond Green, who is arguably, he has been as good defensively this year as he's been, is just nothing offensively.
He's except a G Leaguer on offense.
Like, it's cratered. His shot's cratered. He doesn't want to shoot when he's wide open. Like, Steph is doing it all. And
oh my God, dude, watching that Celtics game, that layup that you're talking about, Draymond gets the handoff and drives to the basket. And I literally yelled, no, I'd rather have Steph take a contested mid-range or like a contested three from the fucking half court.
Okay, so I know Draymond smoked the layup, but that's a play I've seen them run like successfully a billion times, like the fake dribble handoff where Draymond gets a layup, and he still smoked it. And I'm just like, Steph cannot. I don't mind the shot personally, but I get what you're saying. But like, dude, it just piles on. It is shitty. Like, I would have rather had Steph take the shot.
I was making a meme the other day. I was like, dude, would you trust Steph? Game on the line for your life. You're betting your life on this. Crunch time.
Well, I'm taking Steph. I know what you're gonna ask. I'm taking Steph with anything.
You want a contested Steph 3, or do you want a wide open Paul George corner 3?
Yeah, I think I would take Steph in any situation. Actually, I don't think you understand the depths of my Curry fandom here. Like, I would take Steph in any situation. I also think like his finals performances, that whole narrative where he, like, okay, you could say he might have played like 95% of what he was in all those final seasons compared to his regular season, but he was still great. He still made big shots. Like,
I think
he had big playoff games.
To me, Steph's value isn't even his max value. Isn't even when he's shooting, when he makes a shot. It's just him being on the court. It's his gravity that makes it.
It's the greatest. Like I said, he's the greatest off-ball force ever. Like, when he's on the court, the Warriors' offense is historic. Well, okay, not this year, obviously, given the talent around him. But the offense is still really good when he's on the court, given the talent around him, which goes to show you how great he is.
Yeah.
Like, quit playing with that man's name is basically the end of my rant. Quit playing with that man.
My only thing with Steph, and we've gotten to this before, is when Steph, this isn't you, so I'm not calling you out, but when Steph starts saying that he's better than Magic Johnson, that's where I draw the line.
I think he's the second best point guard ever, but to me, Magic wasn't just the best point guard ever. He's a top 5 player of all time. Yeah, like let's stop that, right? Let's stop that right now. He's still the greatest passer ever.
I agree. Steph is great. I don't have him as high as you. I have Zeke a little higher, but again, I think he's in the top 5 for sure. And where you want to put him in there is easy for debate. To me, there's no question who the top point guard of all time is.
Oh, and yeah, no question. Yeah, and there is probably going to be that for a long time too.
Yeah.
It's probably going to remain that way for a long time.
And the thing is, it's the kind of thing of as soon as you say Steph's the greatest point guard of all time, I instantly tune out anything that you're gonna say. You know what I mean? Like I just go like, yeah, I just don't care about your opinion anymore.
When we host, by the way, this is the 20th episode of the BOB, which is a very great milestone. But I can't wait for when we do episode 100 and Steph hopefully maybe has 5 championships and I just come in with the stone cold Steve Austin elbow to your head saying that Steph is better than Magic and seeing your reaction. No. But in all seriousness, like, no, I'm not going to go that far. Obviously, I mean, like I said, it's not just that Magic was the greatest point guard ever. He's a top 5 player, period, of all time. I think
like people need to go back and like when you watch Magic games, you watch him and you go, "Holy shit! How do you stop him?"
Yeah, he was an anomaly. Like him and Larry Bird were an anomaly in every sense of the word.
And when you think about the spacing too, like think about Magic, right? Think about Magic as a big point guard that's backing down guards and like doing all this stuff, and he's agile and all this stuff. But he's doing it where he has no spacing.
Yeah, and there's like 3 people in the paint.
Yeah, there's 3 people in the paint. And he's backing down guards.
Yep.
And you're like, man, could you imagine Magic today?
Most creative passer ever, too, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
oh my God.
Some of the even Fat Magic when he came back in the 95-96 season, when he did that fake to Spreewell, like he's just so smooth. The sleight of hand with the ball, it's the best I've seen from a guard. And I obviously didn't grow up watching Magic, but like, you know, you grow up a basketball fan. My dad's telling me about Magic. I'm watching old-timey NBA documentaries on Magic and stuff like that on TV. And you could just see the sleight of it. Like, it was just different. Like, you could tell it was different. And there's been a lot of great point guards since. I know people want to say analytically, Chris Paul's the greatest point guard ever. No, I don't agree with that. I do think he's a top 5 point guard ever, though. But Magic, man, like, the championships, the accolades, the stats, everything. Just the winning, who he was as a player, like the creativity. Like, nah, I'm not going to go that far. So you don't have to worry about that for me from this Steph stand.
Yeah. Again, that's my only gripe. I have Steph in the top 5. Where you want to put him, that's a little different, but he's not 1. 1 is untouchable. It's like, again, shooting guards. To me, 1, 2 with Kobe and Jordan. You can't touch those 2. Anywhere else you want to go after that, it's fine. I have D Wade 3rd, but you know.
Yeah, D Wade would be my 3rd.
Yeah,
like, but it'll be interesting when Steph retires. How he's talked about when his career's over, and how the discourse will be in terms of his all-time rankings, because I think he's very close to Kendrick Perkins said the other day. And honestly, I think I said this on the last pod. In long form and on Twitter, I'm not gonna lie, I'm a fan of Kendrick Perkins. But when it's like when he's doing short hits on The Jump and Get Up on ESPN, and it's just like, oh my God, just But
when he explains himself, he's right most of the time.
When he or at least I could see where he's coming from, right?
Yeah.
But like he said that Steph is top 10 of all time. And I think he's extremely close. Like, I think when it's just in terms of influence, how he changed offenses, how he changed how defenses guard him, like it's going to be interesting to see where he is all time on everybody's consensus all time rankings when his career's over. Like, dude, I really felt like the Warriors were up 1 against the Celtics with like a minute 30 left. Kent Bazemore gets fouled. Bricks both free throws. Celtics come down and score. They run a fake dribble handoff. Draymond Green misses the layup. And Steph is still keeping them in the game on a sprained ankle, by the way. And he hits this ridiculous contested corner 3 where he dribbles away from Marcus Smart, sidesteps. The foot that he is pushing off of is his sprained ankle. And he just swishes, wets a corner 3. To bring the Warriors within 1, I think. And it was like 10 seconds left. Like, the dude is incredible, man. Like, just shout out Steph. He's not going to win MVP, but I wouldn't be surprised if he finished in the top 5, like, for voting.
Yeah,
but
he's garbage.
That team is straight up garbage. And yeah, before, Portland fans, if somehow Portland fans catch this podcast and we catch a stray from Portland fans on Twitter, we love Damian Lillard too. We don't need to bring up Damian Lillard every time. I have been bothered by this too, because I think Embiid and Jokic is heading that way in terms of the last few years. The debate between Steph and Dame has become, oh, he's better. Oh, he's better. I'm going to drag Steph down to bring Dame up. Or every time Steph has a big game, they're like, look at what Dame had tonight, or vice versa. And it's like, no, like this is by the way, Steph is a better player than Dame, but we're not going to go there anyway. But Steph has been incredible, and I'm giving him his flowers right now because they're not going to go far in the playoffs, but goddamn, the Warriors are wasting another prime year of Stephen Curry, and it kind of sucks.
Yeah, totally feel you there. So
But that's all I had for my Steph Curry rant. What do you think about? Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
I like it. I think he's the one carrying my fantasy team right now. So I'm very excited.
I am doing very poorly.
Well, we're in the playoffs now, baby. I snuck into the playoffs as the 4th seed. So
I'm like my record was like 5-10. I was awful. Injuries and all that. I thought Blake Griffin would be a sneaky pickup for me at the beginning of the season. I was like, oh, maybe he can have a little bit of a resurgence in Detroit. No.
No.
Just nothing. Stuff like that kind of bit me in the ass. I thought I had like 4-dimensional chess moves, and they were like nothing.
But yeah, the thing I wanted to bring up. So we have some of the races are tightening.
Yes.
The interesting thing to me is we could have a rush of injuries here that are pretty fascinating. I think the most notable one, we've been singing the praises of the Nuggets for the past
2 weeks. We haven't potted since this happened.
Yeah, and Jamal Murray went down. So how do you still believe in the Nuggets without Jamal Murray? How much does the Jamal Murray injury affect your belief in these Nuggets?
So full disclosure, the reason we didn't do the podcast last week is because my adapter was defective. It kept flickering on and off, and then it went kaput. And so I got a new one. It came in it came Wednesday morning. And I recorded a pod on Thursday, a Sly Hooper pod. And I remember saying that I don't think the Nuggets are a serious contender anymore. Can they make a dark horse run if Jokic averages like 35, 11, and 9, which is certainly possible? Sure. But like, I thought, and with the way the Nuggets were playing since the Aaron Gordon trade, I thought the Nuggets I was ready to I think I told you, I put the Nuggets basically ahead of the Suns and the Clippers and the Jazz. Like, I always liked the Nuggets. I've always been a big Jokic fan. We just need to put the right pieces around him. And I knew Jamal Murray was going to, come out of his early season slump. That's what he always does. Every year he's a slow starter for the last few years. Kind of like we used to talk about Lonzo Ball. Obviously, Jamal Murray's a better player, but like they're slow starters to every season. There's players who are slow starters, but it's not just the fact that Jamal Murray was the Nuggets' second best player. Like, that offense, Jokic and Murray is an offense unto itself. And then Gordon made everything else fall into place. Like Michael Porter Jr. gets more wide open shots, while Gordon has instinctive cutting ability. Michael Porter Jr. doesn't have to guard the best guy anymore. Even though he's improved on defense, he's not having to guard Kawhi Leonard and Paul George like when the Nuggets played the Clippers a few weeks back on TNT. Everything just fell into place. The Nugget, you could say whatever you want about the Nuggets bench. Do they have enough size and shooting off of it? I like a lot of their players coming off the bench. I just thought they had a really good roster, and I thought they were a serious contender. Not like that's cute. The Nuggets are a plucky team. They might go on a hot run like they did in the bubble. I thought they were a full stop contender because their defense improved with Gordon there, and Gordon's instinctive cutting and his his ability to do everything good, not or well and not great, was kind of the perfect like profile for a fourth option or a third option. And it just all fit perfectly. And now without Murray there, you more Michael Porter Jr., more Aaron Gordon. You're going to have to rely on Will Barton more, and Will Barton has had a down year. If people don't remember last year, Will Barton was awesome before he got injured, before the bubble. It just hurts the Nuggets a lot, is basically my roundabout way of saying like this. Yeah. I really think this injury honestly, my ranking of contenders, I would go fully healthy Lakers, Suns, Clippers, Jazz, then Nuggets. If we had to rank the 5 contenders, because those have been the 5 teams all year, right?
Yeah, and I do want to say too that like given the way that this is going, obviously the Lakers are going to get Anthony Davis back soon. We're still not sure about LeBron, but news is that Anthony Davis will probably be back next week or the week after. It's looking more and more like the Lakers are going to be locked into this 5th seed, just given the well, actually, they could go to the 4th seed, but 4th or 5th seed. So if the Nuggets are locked into
given the Blazers' recent rut too, like it's looking like the Lakers are going to be in the 5th seed.
Yeah. So given the way the standings currently sit and the way this is probably going to shake out, the Nuggets are going to run into the Lakers in the first round, and I think that that's just going to be a death sentence to them. Where, I think if they had Jamal Murray, it would have been a really fun series to watch. I think without Jamal Murray, their offense becomes very one-dimensional, and then it's just not. It becomes
very Jokic dependent too.
Yeah, and especially I think
it's not bad, but
I think you can get away with that with having a very Jokic-centric offense against a team like the Clippers that do struggle with the size. When you have a team where their size and their inside game is the strength, and Jokic is going to have to contend with Anthony Davis and now Drummond, and on a regular basis, I don't necessarily think that it's going to be the best thing for Jokic's wind, and really, I think that's going to really hurt them down the road.
Jokic is just going to have to. I think Jokic has the ability to up his production, but there's not that secondary guy from the perimeter anymore. Well, especially from the perimeter at the guard spot with Jamal Murray. It's like I said, it's a lot more Will Barton. It's a lot more. You got to hope Monty Morris and Facu Campazzo do well off the bench, which you don't want to ever rely on bench players to consistently fill that hole for you. And even if they do, you can't completely replace Jamal Murray. It's just this season has been awful with injuries anyway. I have a lot of thoughts on this season and the job that Adam Silver's doing, and I'm glad people are come to realize that Adam Silver maybe isn't the great, ungodly, untouchable commissioner that everybody thought he was, but that's another story.
He's an ungodly commissioner. I think he's been a really good commissioner. I think that it's just there's been mistakes here and pitfalls here and there. I don't doubt that he's still the best commissioner in sports, but it's a pretty low bar, I will say.
I think he's overrated. I think he has obviously made good decisions, but I think he is still living off of the fact that he got a racist owner out of the league, which is one of the easiest decisions you can make. And I think he gets a little too much credit for a game or the global growth of the game and the revenue jump in the game. I think he gets way too much credit for it because I think David Stern had the league in that direction anyway, and Adam Silver just picked it up. But
yeah, so I definitely think that's true. I think my main thing goes to like the NBA is still the best run league of the 3 to 4 major leagues in the world.
For sure.
I think that they're still the best run league. And again, to me, when you're saying is Adam Silver the best commissioner in sports, yes. Is it a pretty low bar?
Yes. Yeah. Also, yes.
Also, yes.
So what's your feeling on the Nuggets? Do you think they could still? Well, you already said that they'd have to face the Lakers, so that would obviously be tough sledding. If they didn't face the Lakers, what do you think about them?
I think it depends on the matchup. I think they still can give a team trouble. I don't have them in the finals anymore. I mean, I remember I've been riding the Suns to the conference finals since before the season started.
And then the
was
Gordon trade happened. And you're like, I'm out.
Right. Well, because I saw what you saw. I saw the potential. I saw what they were doing, and it was like, oh my god, this is insane. How can you beat this?
You definitely did what I deep down wanted to do.
Yeah,
which was put the Nuggets as the second best team in the West right after the Gordon trade. So you definitely were more brave than I was. But yeah, I see where you're coming from with that.
And so, it was the thing of, okay, now I go back to the Suns because to me, the one dimensionality of an offense is a death sentence in the playoffs. When your offense becomes extremely one dimensional, especially when you have teams that are great defensively, you have the Jazz, the teams that you have to beat, right? You have the Jazz, the Clippers, and the Lakers. And then the Suns can kind of match up with them at almost every position. So when you look at obviously Jokic has a advantage over Ayton, but it's not like Ayton's a scrub that you can kind of just bully around.
And by the way, Ayton's been playing amazing the last few weeks.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like he is still a talented individual that can, wreak havoc if you let him free. So you can't, the only team that I think they could beat or give trouble to is the Clippers because of, again, we've talked about weeks now, is their lack of size and their lack of bigs. I think Rondo really helps them, and we've seen them play better with Rondo. But I think that
Lakers Twitter is mad at Rondo. It's funny. It's like, this is playoff Rondo in the regular season, really?
Yeah. Well, they need the help, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's a little bit different when and everything slows down. I don't know how great they're going to be able to handle someone like Jokic. That's why I worry about the Clippers too. Every team that they have to beat has dominant inside games, or at least the potential to do that with, Ayton, Gobert, Anthony Davis. I don't know how much firepower the Clippers have to match. And again, all of these teams also have the perimeter defenders to, if not, you're not going to shut down Kawhi and Paul George, but you can at least bother them enough to where, when it's super easy to score inside on them, Paul George and Kawhi have to work that much harder on the perimeter, and they have the defenders to throw at them.
I will say with the Clippers, because that's another team I did want to bring up. I am recalibrating my thoughts on the Clippers a little bit. So for a month plus now, they've been a top 6 defense in terms of defensive rating, and the rim protection has actually been top 10 since March 6th, I believe. Seems like they're fixing some problems. Also, they've just been winning a lot of games recently. Like, they've been on like 2 different winning streaks. What's up?
You've been blowing out some teams.
Oh yeah, and Paul George and Kawhi Leonard. Well, Paul George mainly because Kawhi's been out, but Paul George has been incredible all year. And this is why I have the Clippers over the Jazz, just because I trust Paul George and Kawhi in playoff settings more than I trust Donovan Mitchell, who really, like, he's a good player. And Donovan Mitchell's obviously been incredible this year himself. He's had a career year, but I just want to see Mitchell do it more often. Because last year against the Nuggets, they didn't lose that series because, it was Donovan's fault or anything like that. By the way, Mike Conley almost won that series for the Jazz. I think people forgot that. Like, it was an in and out 3. But Donovan Mitchell in that series showed me that he at least he is capable of doing that, but I want to see him kind of do it again, because I think that's the way the Jazz offensively can get by in the playoffs, is they just need a half court. They obviously need isolation scoring. But Mitchell will shoot you out of a game. Right?
He's the classic chucker. When it goes well, it goes great, but when it goes bad, man, it goes bad.
I would say he's better. I'd say chucker is too broad, but I see where you're going with that, because there are, like I said, there are times where he'll shoot you out of a game, but since the All-Star break especially, it's been amazing, and I hope he's all right from that sprained ankle. By the way, I had no idea there was a 12 a.m. game or a noon game on a Saturday. Who asked for that?
Weird. I woke up and I was like, "This game's on?"
I was like, okay, I guess I'll watch this. Who asked for the Jazz and Pacers on a Saturday at noon, right? But Hope he's better from that. But yeah, I'm starting to recalibrate my thoughts on the Clippers a little bit, and Rondo has been playing like his hair has been on fire since the trade, or at least by his standards. But I would still, I think I almost combined Nuggets and Suns and said nuns. But I think the Suns can and will, I think, get the 1 seed, especially depending on how long this Mitchell injury lasts. But I would definitely have the Clippers as the 3rd contender right now. But fully, again, it's still status quo. Fully healthy Lakers, I'm just giving them the benefit of the doubt. And then the Suns is the same thing with the Clippers, right? Not Paul George, Devin Booker and Chris Paul. Like those two, I know that they can operate in tight quarters in the playoffs in the half court because they have a great half court offense. Their offense has caught, and remember earlier in the year, their defense was like top 6, but their offense was still middle of the road, now they're both top 10. They're top 10 in both offensive and defensive efficiency. So I really, now that the Nuggets are kind of back down to the dark horse tier, I'm kind of back on the Suns being in the Western Conference finals again, like being the favorites at least.
Yeah, I've ridden the Suns to the Western Conference Finals all year except for last week.
You had a moment of weakness, Chris. It wasn't your fault.
Hey man, every relationship has a moment of weakness, and you have to make that turn.
hey, I hear you. Okay, so I have a question for you. What did you think about Luka and Mark Cuban's recent comments about the play-in tournament? Given the fact that Mark Cuban was the one who he was part of the reason why the play-ins are happening. He voted for this shit. And now all of a sudden it's an issue.
Yeah, again, to me it always comes back to a thing where when it works out for you, it's the same thing with the buyout market stuff where like, hey, if it works out for you or if it works against you, you don't like it. But if it works for you, if your team's the one doing it, then it's like, cool, I'd like this. It to me, it just comes off as like petty and comes off as like
whiny.
Yeah.
Kind of like how Luka whines to the officials all the time too.
Or hits on them. You know.
Wow.
And at least he's consistent, right?
Yeah, I guess. It just comes off as, I mean, Mark Cuban is no stranger to whining about the NBA and whining about the refs and stuff like that. But like, my whole thing is like, you knew the rules going into this. Like, you voted for it.
Yeah, it wasn't like this was a surprise. Like, it wasn't like this was the bubble where, oh, we don't know what's going on and we're making this up as we go. Like, no, this was set before you even started the season.
Yeah, like you knew when the bubble decided to have the play-in tournament, it was probably going to be a test run. I'm neutral on the play-in. Like, I think I've come out as neutral after, watching it in the bubble and stuff like that. And for this season, it makes sense, obviously. I think it makes sense to have a play-in tournament for this particular season, given the shortened games and stuff like that. But I don't know. We all knew what was going to happen. Oh my God, Steph Curry just dotted his own older brother or little brother with a 3 right in his face. I feel bad, but no. I don't know. The play-in tournament, I like it for this year, but we all knew the rules going into this, and I just feel like Mark Cuban and Dallas, they don't do themselves any favors, especially like I mentioned earlier. Like Luka's incessant whining is just it. I love watching him play. I get annoyed watching him play when he constantly, and all the stars do this, but it's just a lot more complaining now. And I hate to sound like a 40-year-old basketball fan, but like, I swear when I was growing up, and even in the early 2000s, the 2010s, late 2000s, I swear I didn't see this much complaining. I don't know if I'm crazy. I don't know if you think differently, but like, man, dude, like there are some players who are known for bitching at the officials, and it's kind of annoying, not gonna lie.
Yeah, totally agree. It's kind of yikes. And like, for me it's a thing of, I completely understand like complaining a call, and I completely understand why you complain a call and why you need to, if not complain and call, because you're not going to get it reversed, right? But like to set the expectation of like, hey, this is happening. Can you watch this, or can you know?
Keep it consistent on both sides,
right? And I think that sometimes you see players doing that, where you see players go by and like I see this is something like Marc Gasol does all the time, where you see him go to the ref and he's not complaining about the call. He's not saying that was a foul. He's just saying, hey, like, what do you like? He's asking, like, what are you calling this? Or like, what did you see? Or, he's asking, he's having a dialogue, right?
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of the times, especially with younger players like Luka, they're literally complaining the call that just happened. And it's like, dude, you're not going to get them to change their mind. Like, the best you can do is get them to understand or get them to see your side of it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the best you can do. And the only thing that you see from young players is like, you see them try to complain and get the call changed or reversed. And it's like, dude, that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And that's to me where it's annoying, where it's like, okay, you're not, like, what are you doing?
And I think it also doesn't help. And from the other side of it, I think the game is just, the way the game is called for offensive players is kind of ridiculous now. Like the whole pump fake jump 2 feet forward or to the side into a defender or whatever. Like, if it's not a natural shooting motion, then it shouldn't be a shooting foul or whatever. Yeah. And like just stuff like that.
To me, leaning into a defender, like jumping into a defender, should have the same call as like the Reggie Miller kicking your foot out.
Yeah. Because that's not, and I'm glad. I think Shams reported a few weeks ago that at the end of the season, the league is going to look at that with the refs union or whatever it was. Like they're basically going to look at legislating how to call these type of fouls, which thank God. But like even stuff like and look, players will adjust if you change how the fouls are called. It's just that now that they are calling fouls for basically everything, players are smartly manipulating how to get foul calls. And that doesn't mean that it's okay. That doesn't mean I have to like it, but
it's the same reason why the Harden rip through started happening. Because again, I'm not the biggest.
I think it started with KD. Remember in 2010 when Phil Jackson bitched and complained about it?
Yeah. But like to me, it comes back to the thing of like, I'm not particularly a huge James Harden fan. I think he's talented, and I think he is probably the best like one-on-one scorer in our game today. I draw the line where people say that he's the most unstoppable scorer ever. I draw the line there. But for me, it comes to the thing of he perfectly. I don't like watching him play because I think it's boring. But I think I do, or when we're talking about Houston Harden, right? To me, it comes back to the thing
I'm a glutton. I'm Jabba the Hutt. I love that shit. Just feed me all the ISO possessions from Harden.
I hate it. I can't stand it because I love ball movement, and I love like it's one of the reasons why I love watching the way the Lakers were set up when LeBron was in there, because they literally move the ball, and they have so many guys that can pass and play make, and they're smart, and it made it a ton of fun to watch. It's why I like watching the old Spurs too. But anyway, the thing goes back to, say what you want about Harden, say whatever you want. He understands the rules and he understands what they're going to call. And it's what makes him so effective when he does that drive, that rip through move. And if you're playing good defense, you're going to hit his arm.
Yeah. Like, or he started doing that thing in transition where I think it's what you were talking about, but it's kind of like the rip through where he swings he starts low with his arms as he brings the ball up, and he swings it through when the defender has his hands downwards, and it's like, that's smart, and that's why I love watching the craftiness of that. And also when Harden's out on an island cooking dudes, like, I don't know, I just love that. Like he's had some of the nastiest crossovers I've seen in the last few years. I love that shit.
My brain automatically goes to, and you'll agree with this too, Jordan. If you're playing on Harden's team, do you want to play with James Harden?
I do not. I do. I'm thinking about my game style. I would not know, because I would want the ball in the post.
To me, it's just boring, man. Like, fuck, I don't want to stand there and shoot threes. I don't want to stand in the corner and watch you cook for 20 minutes.
Okay, wait. Okay, so I have a question for you then. I'm not saying that Kobe. I think Kobe being a ball hog is kind of overstated, but he did have that play style. So I'm wondering
Well,
how it was for you watching a team that, yeah, the triangle facilitated ball movement and player movement to a degree in the half court, but we all know that if it's a game 7 or push to comes to shove, Kobe's taking 30 fucking shots and you're not going to say anything about it.
To me was like the way that Kobe operated. It wasn't top of the key, I'm going to step back and do this stuff. It was like Kobe's literally driving the basket, and you see Kobe's mind, the way it's working is he's literally trying to find the open shot and because he knows the double's coming, right? When you watch Kobe highlights, I think, again, like you said, the passing thing's a little overrated, where when you watch Kobe in a full game, he's passing out of doubles quite a bit. Like, he's passing out of doubles, or he's splitting a double to then pass off to the man that comes over to cover. Like, he's finding openings, he's finding guys. That's one of my favorite Kobe highlights of all time is the wraparound pass to Rony Turioff under the basket.
Oh yeah, I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, that one was sick.
You never, like, when you watch Harden highlights, all of Harden highlights are, I'm going to cook you at the top of the key and shoot a step back. They're not as, to me, using all of your, like, Kobe was ISO, but he was still using all of his teammates, like whether it was setting screens or whether it was give and go and all that kind of stuff. He was using all of his teammates, and you can still see the unit working to get him a shot, like a lot like Steph, where you see the entire offense is based around getting Steph a shot, but it's using every resource available. Where I feel like with Harden, and again, this is talking about Houston Harden. Nets Harden is a completely different story. We can talk about that later.
Okay, so I would, if I could correct you, I would say latter D'Antoni years Harden, because Harden did lead the league in assist and was playing more pick and roll early, first 4 or 5 years in Houston.
I was talking about like the last 3 or 4 years where it was just him, the Chris Paul years.
Yeah, or it was him and Chris Paul, your turn, my turn.
Yeah, and to me, like, it's just Harden, top of the key, everyone's spread out, and then Harden's going to cook. And then if he gets stopped,
if they double, he passes to the next guy.
Yeah. And like, to me, that's really boring offense. Where, again, when you watch the triangle and you watch Kobe, it is, he's taking handoffs, he's going give and goes, they're moving without the ball. The rest of the players are moving throughout the court and trying to create chaos and trying to create lanes for him, rather than him having to create all on his own, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. And I just I think that I could see where you're coming from with that. I guess it's also we have to remember Kobe was a technician in the post too, so the game was more aesthetically pleasing. He had the footwork, he had the up fakes, he had all that stuff going on. So it's definitely it was different for sure. Kobe had a different aesthetic to his game that is probably more pleasing to the eye if you're watching as a fan. With Harden, it was more, you get the same stuff over and over again. I could see how people could get bored behind the constant monotony behind that that method.
I respect it. I fully respect it. To me, it just came down to, man, I don't want to watch him do this for 40 minutes.
Yeah, for sure. I get that. Let's move. I wanted to ask you before I had a few questions about the East, but I wanted to talk to you about the Pelicans actually, because they once again choked another game in spectacular fashion against the New York Knicks on Sunday. Lonzo, for some reason, helped on a Derrick Rose drive and gave up a corner three to Reggie Bullock, who was a good 3-point shooter, to tie the game, to put it into overtime, when really all he had to do was allow Derrick Rose to lay it up, and they would be still up one with 2 seconds left. The Pelicans constantly are choking away games in spectacular fashion. They constantly have players who don't fit around Zion and Ingram. And I saw a tweet the other day, and I completely agree. I cannot believe Giannis won back-to-back MVPs with Eric Bledsoe as the starting point guard, because Drew Holiday is night and day. Drew Holiday has not only been fantastic and probably one of the better seasons of his career, but goddamn is that fit so much cleaner. And watching Bledsoe on the Pelicans, my God, it is awful. And watching Steven Adams clog it up, Stan Van Gundy is still stuck in 2009, I feel. I just feel like It goes back to, for me, to before I turn it over to you, for me, it also goes back to David Griffin. I think he's kind of been overrated as a general manager because, yes, building a team around LeBron, and when you have LeBron, you have to go all in for a championship, right? You have to make win now moves immediately. So he gets credit for that. But he's stacking up these picks, but some of the moves and trades he's made recently, I don't get it. I don't get this team. I feel like it should be not easy, but there should be an archetype of players you want to put around Zion and Ingram, right?
Yeah. I think the fascinating to me, a lot of this stuff was experimental, and I understand that, like, again, to me, they're one of the best teams in the NBA quarters 1 through 3. Because they always have leads.
Sometimes 3.5 quarters.
They always have leads. Always.
Mm-hmm.
And then down the stretch, this has been a conversation for a while, and I'm curious what you think about it, because I'm split. Do you think Ingram thinks he's the guy?
Yes, 100%.
And do you think it hurts them?
100%.
Yeah. So
because, and look, I can acknowledge.
I watch Zion, and I watch Zion, and I go, man, he is unstoppable. And then I go, all right, Pelicans down 2. Let's get Zion the ball. And then Ingram takes like this weird mid-range jumper, and you're like, what? Okay.
Yeah. That has been a topic of discussion everywhere when it comes to the Pelicans, right? And we can acknowledge that, and especially you, because you watched every minute of Ingram's career as a Laker. He has vastly improved. His off the dribble 3-point shot, it's real. His leap as an offensive player is real. He's become a better playmaker, but last year that was more on display because they had more spacing to, highlight that. But Zion is already the better player on that team. And
that's no disrespect to Ingram.
And that's no disrespect to Ingram.
I think Ingram is still one of the top 10 young players in this league.
And he told Zach Lowe what he has. We all know his insane work ethic, right? He told Zach Lowe in a feature story that he wants to be one of the best players in the NBA, period, and wants to be one of the greatest to do it. And so, of course, I don't blame him for having that mindset, right? And also, I think it goes back to Stan Van Gundy. Up until like the last week or two, Stan Van Gundy was giving the ball to Ingram in crunch time situations. When you have a guy, you literally cannot stop going to the rim and is shooting like damn near 60%. Shaq-like efficiency, by the way. I think what was the record? He had like 25 straight games or whatever of 25 points and like 50% shooting. 60%. Do you realize how absurd that is for a 6'6" guard? Like,
well, he's a forward technically.
Well, Stan Van Gundy's using him as a guard. I'm just going to call him a guard because it sounds cool. But no, you're right about that though. But yeah, like I don't blame Ingram for thinking he is the guy because he definitely has the skill set for it. If he ever reached that full potential, there's just a better option. And I don't think giving the ball to Zion all the time in crunch time will fix their problems. I think it goes beyond that. I think their roster is kind of, like I said, the roster is really janky. And I think the coaching has been, quite frankly, it's sucked all year. And
the revelation, the only thing I'll give Stan revelation for is giving Zion the ball at top of the key.
But it's like the Adam Silver getting rid of Donald Sterling thing.
Yeah,
it was
like this is an easy call.
This is an easy call. Just give Zion the ball, the dude that has handle and can, when he gets that first step going, he teleports right by you, right?
Yeah. I don't think that's necessarily something to be like, praise Jesus. He fucking, gave Zion the ball. I don't think that's necessarily something to like praise. To me, I think it comes down to this year. If they don't sign Lonzo Ball back, to me, I go, what the fuck are they doing?
Yeah.
To me, that's kind of the make or break move that I'm looking at. And again, we're both Lonzo Ball fans, so it's a little biased. But I think that I think
they should definitely bring him back.
He is the piece to me that fits the most out of the ones that are there. that
Yeah.
he is one of the ones that you need to keep around. And obviously he wants 20 million. I think he's well worth it. I think that given what he's done this year and what he's shown you, obviously people just want to pick him apart for bad things, but I think that there's a great thread, and obviously Laker Twitter brought it up, but it's spread around to most people, and I think most people would agree. Other than shooting, what does Trae Young do better than Lonzo Ball?
Passing.
What's up?
Passing.
I think Lonzo's a better passer.
Oh, I disagree heavily with that. I think Trae Young is a top 7 passer. I think Lonzo's a good passer, but to me, I think Trae Young has also the skill set to pass from different angles and platforms, especially when running pick and roll because of his handle. Also, I need to give Trae Young credit because you remember on the podcast when I said a few weeks ago that the Hawks, or what was it, a month ago, basically before they fired Lloyd Pierce, that the Hawks suck and they are awful. They are not fun to watch, and Trae Young's not fun to watch. I have to give the Hawks credit now. Like, Trae Young has been playing a hell of a lot better. The Nate McMillan has simplified things, and the Hawks are now the 4th seed in the Eastern Conference. But Alonzo is a really good passer. I just think Trae Young is a better pick and roll passer. I think
I think from what I've seen of Lonzo Ball throughout his career, to me, Lonzo Ball is a top 5 passer in the NBA.
So, Chris Paul,
yeah,
Trae Young, LeBron, Jokic, Ben Simmons. Like,
I don't have Ben in there either.
No, I think Ben Simmons is a better passer than Lonzo too. Because look, I think Lonzo is a great passer in the sense that he is a quick decision maker. Like, he'll quickly swing the ball side to side. I just prefer, off the handle, off the dribble, pick and roll guys who can also pass out of the pick and roll while also doing the same passes that Lonzo does pretty much.
This is the same discussion that I had when Rondo was in his prime, because I'm not a big Rondo guy. Mm-hmm. I never was. And to me, it came down to, I don't like guys that hold the ball too long. And to me, it comes down to
also Luka too. Like, Luka's a better passer than Lonzo.
Yeah. But to me, it comes down to a thing where I like guys that make the quick the swing pass and like the extra pass. Like the hockey assist, to me, is one of the most underrated things in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
And I like so many guys. I don't know if you feel this way. Prime Rondo would assist hunt a lot.
He would assist. Oh, I 100% agree. Like, it's been documented too. Like, he would definitely assist hunt. But
you're like, dude, there's a wide open dude here. That's an easy swing pass. There's an easy hockey assist right here, and you just won't do it. And it's a thing where, to me, I feel like there's a lot of guys in the NBA like that. Where, again, I don't think they do it on purpose, but I think they don't. They just they look for the home run.
It's the heliocentricity of an offense, if I could use a fancy word like that. But
I think
even
Lonzo isn't a heliocentric guy. To me, he is the extra guy.
Well, and to me, with those type of guys, like, is he passing it quickly because he's seeing the play ahead, or is he, passing it quickly because he doesn't want to do anything with it? So there's also some of that too, where I think that's the flaw with those guys.
When I look at him, a lot of the time, so if you watch him close, a lot of time when he quickly passes, he points to the other guy, like to the next pass. Like, he passes it to you, and he points to you that there's a guy in the corner.
Mm-hmm.
Like, as soon as he gets rid of it, so as you're catching the ball, he's pointing to you to pass to the other guy. So to me, that shows that he is looking ahead at these different plays and things that are going to happen.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Like, to me, that's more important than like the singular heliocentric, I'm going to off the dribble pass. But again, like, now we're getting to like different kind of
styles and like, the granular stuff. I just think, like, with Trae Young, James Harden, Luka, like Ben Simmons, well, Ben Simmons is also he kind of falls into this mold with Lonzo, although he creates a lot more open threes than Lonzo does. I like my passers to be able to have enough handle and wiggle to get into the paint. Like, I don't even think Lonzo is a better passer than LaMelo Ball, or his younger brother. I think it's been clear, like, to me, that
to me this is a thing where, in terms of pure passing, I would take Lonzo. But LaMelo has the wiggle and the handle to create more situations to create open passes. My
point was, with those heliocentric guys, I also think they can make those same type of passes that Lonzo has. If, like, say, they were in a situation where they are the ones, and it's rare, obviously, because they have the ball in their hands a lot, but there are situations where they will be the guy sometimes catching the ball on a swing, and then they swing it to another because they see the play. Like, to me, like, Lonzo, let's say Lonzo theoretically is better than those guys at the, the quick passing and the swinging it to the next guy quickly, pointing to where the guy's open. I think those heliocentric offensive players can do that too, but they have for me, the differentiator is they also have the vision and passing ability to just do it on the bounce. Sure. So that's where I would.
To me, Lonzo also has that. To me, Lonzo has. So this is a weird thing. To me, Lonzo has a confidence issue, and because UCLA Lonzo has all this stuff, I know he has it in his bag.
UCLA Lonzo. Yeah, when his handle wasn't as big of an issue.
So to me, I think he does have it. And there's certain situations where he breaks guys down, there's nights where he's feeling it, and he looks like UCLA Alonzo.
Oh yeah, he's shown a lot more of more chops as a pick and roll passer this season. I would like in terms of like more possessions. I've seen him in a lot more possessions with pick and roll too.
He had this in LA too, where he has nights where when he's feeling himself a little bit, and you see the wiggle in his step, and you see the confidence, and you're like, oh, okay, Lonzo's on his shit tonight. And then he looks to me like he has all this stuff. And so to me, that's why I put him in that air. To me, it's the consistency in which he does it that needs to be better.
Mm-hmm.
But there's no doubt in my mind that when he's on his game, belongs in that conversation. It's just, again, a confidence thing, a consistency thing. Obviously, if he was consistent, I think he'd be an all-star and he'd be one of the top guys. But he's not that, and he doesn't have that confidence, and he doesn't have that consistency. And so I
don't want to discredit because obviously, like we've mentioned before, we love the Ball brothers. I think Lonzo is a special passer just in that department you were talking about. It's just that I would take it's just a preference. I would take the guys who are.
I don't think we're arguing at all. I think we're just having.
Oh no, I don't think so either.
I think we're having just different opinions of what we value.
Yeah. That's all. Lonzo is still a good player, and I think the Pelicans. Somebody was asked, or me and my friend were talking about, like, I'm not sure if he's worth $20 million, but I would pay that for him. And that's also the way the league is going. I'm not sure if he's worth that, but the way the league's going, I would absolutely pay him.
I mean, I would rather have, if I was the Lakers, I'd rather have Lonzo back than Dennis Schroeder.
Oh yeah, I could see. Yeah, just because of the fit and stuff like that.
Yeah, I would rather have Lonzo for $20 million for a younger player.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Real quickly, have you looked at the seeds 10 through 12 in the East and the battle for that 10th and final playing game? The Raptors have been trying to tank, and they have won 3 in a row and have found themselves in the 10th seed. The Chicago Bulls are now on the outside looking in, and they have kind of been awful since the Vucevic trade.
Dean wants to walk.
You think so?
Well, he said he wants to test free agency. He says he's going to test free agency.
Oh well, yeah, that's what you should do as a player. So he's going to get a bag, by the way.
Yeah, he's going to get a lot of money from somewhere, and I don't know if given what's happened so far with this Vucevic thing, I don't know if either side wants this.
Yeah, it's not. Although I do want to give the Vooch Levine combo another season, I guess. Just a full season.
I like the fit on paper, but it hasn't worked out at all.
Yeah, it hasn't worked. It hasn't really worked out so far, and that's why I kind of want to give it like a, when the season goes back to normal, I think a lot of evaluations will become more easier and apparent, too. And I just want to see what a full season of Levine and Vooch looks like. But also, it goes back to, I think when we talked about it on the trade deadline, pod that we did. While I like the fit, the Bulls still had a problem of not having a lot of connectors on the floor. Or floor connectors like Tomas Satoransky. He's a decent, okay passer. They've been using Thad Young a lot on the post to pass all the time to kind of make up for the lack of, passing that's going on in Chicago right now. But
so this is
it's not looking good for my Bulls right now.
You brought up Thaddeus Young, and I thought about it the other day, and you'll have the same thought. I looked him up, and how is he only 32?
That's dude. His whole career in Philadelphia, every time I looked at his age, I'm like, he's that old? He's still Thaddeus Young was always he's still this age? What?
My touch point to Thaddeus Young, I still can, to me, him and Udonis Haslem are the same age.
It seems like they've been around the league that long. He's still only 32, and he's still a productive bench player. But when the Bulls are using Thaddeus Young as their best passer, it's not great.
I feel the same way about Rudy Gay.
Yeah, for real. I'm glad he's kind of recovered post Achilles tear. He's kind of he's become a better player in San Antonio, along with DeMar DeRozan, by the way. It's not looking good for my Bulls. I would actually, if I were to guess, I would probably bet on the Wizards to.
Russ is dragging these boys along.
Yeah, Russ and Beal, but Russ has been on another one of those hot streaks again. Where it's weird. Russ will average a triple double, but it's on 30% shooting and 20% shooting from three, and then he'll have weeks where he's averaging a triple double with 45, 35, 80 numbers, and it's okay, Russ, you're kind of back for a bit, but I would actually kind of bet on the Wizards right now to get the 10th seed over the Bulls and the Raptors.
So I know we've talked about this. I'm just gonna say again, I love Russell Westbrook so much. He's one of my favorite players to watch. Love him. He's great. I hate having Russell. I wouldn't want Russell Westbrook on my team, but I love watching Russell Westbrook.
Yep. Yeah. It depends for me. I'm a Russell Westbrook centrist. I think it's more so I have had some run-ins with Russell Westbrook fans in real life.
That can kill anyone.
Mainly, my most infamous one was, I think I said it briefly on the pod before, but after Steph Curry's unanimous MVP season, I was at my frat brother's birthday party and, got a little toasted, if you will. And someone had the audacity to say that Stephen Curry was overrated and Russell Westbrook was better. And I was just like, wait, what the fuck? If you've seen the movies where somebody says something really weird in a huge gathering and they say the weird thing and then the record scratches and everything's quiet, that was me in my head. I was like, wait, what? And everybody just stopped and looked at me because they know I'm a huge hoop head. And they were just like, uh-oh, here comes Christmas, standing for Steph Curry. And I was like, no, I am not standing for this. And he was like, Russell Westbrook's a better player. He's a better defender. And I'm like, no, the fuck he's not. What? So I've had my run-ins with Russ stands, but I love watching Russell Westbrook. I will say,
he's one of my favorite players to watch. I have so much respect for him. I do not want him on my team because there's no universe where Russell Westbrook should be on the same team as Kevin Durant and take more shots.
No, there is no world. So one of my reasons why I think the Thunder could have made a few NBA finals with the Russ KD duo. They were obviously close. I think in Kevin Durant's MVP year, Serge Ibaka had a really bad calf injury in the Western Conference Finals, and that kind of submarined the Thunder, I thought, especially defensively. But there were a few opportunities for the duo to get to the finals, and they had some bad luck, or they blow a 3-1 lead to the Warriors before the Warriors blew a 3-1 lead to the Cavaliers, right? But the year they made the finals, and maybe some element of it was they're young, they have no idea what they're doing, they're just playing hoops, whatever. James Harden being the de facto point guard in those playoff runs, especially when he turned around that Western Conference Finals against the Spurs in 2012. Remember, the Spurs were on fire towards the end of that season, and they blasted through the playoffs up until the Western Conference Finals, where the Spurs were up 2-0, and James Harden was the reason the Thunder came back and won that series. He was the de facto point guard. Russ got to play a more natural position, and Kevin Durant's the most malleable superstar ever, so you could just place him anywhere on the court. But I think that is kind of why the James Harden trade is always going to be looked back on as one of the worst trades of all time, because the Thunder had a potential. I mean, I'm sure you thought it at the time. For the next decade, I thought it was going to be the Thunder and the Bulls, with Derrick Rose leading the charge, and obviously the Heat, and maybe maybe if the Lakers did a few moves here and there that wasn't the Frankenstein super team or whatever, maybe Kobe could have had one more year in there where he was in the mix. But for the next decade, it was the Thunder, right? And I think James Harden for me was a big part of that.
The what if of that Thunder team, I put right up with the Orlando Magic, the Shaq Penny Orlando Magic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Where I just go like, holy shit. What happened?
Yeah, it's not often you get the two pillar positions of a team, right? And I know positions maybe are archaic now, but having a bona fide point guard to set the table and score like Penny Hardaway with a center like Shaq, you would think, that's going. And then you had Dennis Scott, and Nick Anderson, all those guys.
But the thing is, people don't bring up Nick Anderson and D. Scott enough. Not only were they shooters, but they were athletic. They were the first real athletic 3-and-D guys. When you think about guys that were 3-point specialists, but not like the lanky white guy, but the really athletic, can defend 1 through 4 kind of guy. That's a huge piece to have around Shaq. And then you had Horace Grant there too, as just an extra kind of bully guy with Shaq.
And Horace Grant was a really good player back then too. He was coming off of, a three-peat with the Bulls, and 1 year where they made it to the conference finals when it was just Scotty. Horace Grant was a damn good player.
Yeah, so when you look at them and you go, wow, what, obviously we know what happened, but when you look at them and you go, kind of what if, it's the same thing that I have with the Thunder, where you go, man, what if they just kept this going?
Yeah. And it's going to be the thing that killed me is this is why you have to have good ownership. Is always going to be the biggest advantage in sports, because they did not want to pay the luxury tax for fucking James Harden, Kevin Durant, Serge Ibaka, and Russell Westbrook. But years and years later, they were willing to go into the luxury tax for Russell Westbrook, Paul George, and Carmelo Anthony, and that whole roster.
Yikes.
Bruh, come on, dog. That's just a bruh moment right there. But it's good to reminisce on the past and the what ifs. I really love that Thunder team. I thought they hit. It was crazy. They hit on the lottery so many. Well, obviously Kevin Durant was easy. I actually thought Kevin Durant, when I was in high school and it was Kevin Durant versus Odin, I was more drawn to Durant as somebody who would take first than Odin. As much as Odin was dominant at Ohio State, I just never seen anybody like Kevin Durant at that point in my life, at Texas.
I was a big Odin guy. And again, I think I think on one of our very first podcasts, I brought this up to me, there's an alternate universe where Odin stays healthy and the league trends big for the next decade.
Absolutely. Because Odin was that dominant at Ohio State.
Odin was that guy.
He was that dude. Like, trust me, I wasn't arguing back then that Odin shouldn't be the number one pick. I just would have taken Durant because,
but dude, think about when you look at Odin's career and you think about when he was healthy, he was doing work in the NBA too. When he was healthy,
yeah, when he finally played, I think the first year he was playing, he was averaging like 15 and 10 or something like that. I'm about to look this up while you talk about Odin.
60% from the field. I think he's playing like 20-ish minutes a game on like a minutes restriction, and he got hurt again. And it's like, well, shit. He can't really get anything going. And then even when he came back for Miami, he played like a couple games in Miami. You're like, man, he still can move a little here.
Yeah. Okay. So I got this wrong. He averaged 9 points a game when he came back, but in his second year with Portland,
he was doing some work.
In his second year in Portland, he was averaging 11 and 9, and he was starting to figure it because remember, defense was his calling card too. Was his main calling card. He was averaging over 2 blocks a game and started 21 games. Like he was but he was finally on the court, and you could see like the physical gifts that he had and why he was considered number one. He had
quick feet. He had a nice second pop on his jump. Like Greg Oden was.
I had no idea though till years later that one leg was 2 inches shorter than the other. That would have been a red flag for me also. Although I still would have taken Durant. I was just looking at guys like Kobe, T-Mac, Dwayne Wade, or early Dwayne Wade, by the way. Finals in the third year, Dwayne Wade. I looked at Durant and I was like, what the fuck is this?
Durant was like, hey, do you like Kobe Bryant? Yeah. Do you want Kobe Bryant but 7 inches taller?
Do you want Kevin Durant, or do you want Kobe Bryant but also he's like 5 inches taller than Tracy McGrady? It's like, oh, okay. I was watching him at Texas. I'm like, oh, no, this dude's an alien. Like,
speaking of aliens, Chet today. You see what happened to Chet Holmgren today?
Yeah, he's a Zag now. Maybe the Zags will finally win a national championship and not choke. But
that's such a perfect fit for him as a player.
Oh yeah, yeah.
They're going to be able to run so much offense through him. It's exactly what they need. He's going to have a blast there, and I'm so excited to see what he does. He's
a 7-foot point guard. Jesus Christ,
he's a monster, dude.
I can't wait to dive in on Evan Mobley film. By the way, I'm going to do that soon. By the way,
I know we keep talking about like the fade for Cade, but like Chet Holmgren is the real deal.
Yeah, we're gonna have to come up with the tanking phrase for a Chet Holmgren that rhymes. Holmgren. Fret for Chet. Fret for Chet. We're gonna have to workshop some more. We're gonna have to workshop some more. Did you have any other topics that were on your mind before we wrap it up here, Mr. Chris?
If we did this a couple years ago, I would have, or not a couple years. If you did this last week, I would have been all up on the Lakers winning against the Nets and the Jazz.
Yeah. I guess it was also like I guess I did have a few thoughts on the Kyrie Irving Dennis Schroeder thing, but I mean it's not really that serious. Also, I just don't want to open up this can of worms for people who shouldn't be talking about this topic to talk about it, aka white people. So because I don't want to give them this is one that they should stay out of with the whole, Kyrie Irving, Dennis Schroeder incident, so to speak. But your Lakers got a big win. They've been afloat. The Lakers have been afloat since the Davis LeBron injuries. What are they? 500 now? 9-9 in their, or whatever it is.
Yeah, I mean they're floating 500 and they're staying afloat. My funniest interaction was I was hyped on that Jazz win, and I posted about it, and I had a Jazz fan go, "Calm down, we didn't have Gobert and Donovan Mitchell." I was like, that's a weird stance, man.
That is such a weird take to have, considering who's missing on the other side.
Yeah, I was like, cool, you can have him back. Can we have LeBron AD and we'll run this back?
It's like, oh, okay, so you want to run it back in the playoffs with full strength. All right, we'll bet.
Yeah, I was like, I literally stared at it too. I was like, did he really just like tell me to calm down because they didn't have their two best players?
Dude, okay, I'm tired of Jazz bloggers. Let me just say that. Most of the Jazz media and bloggers are fucking insufferable. They're still mad that Ben Simmons won Rookie of the Year over Donovan Mitchell, and now every time Ben Simmons or another player has the audacity to say, hey, I'm a good player, maybe I should win this award, Jazz fans are all like, oh, look at this cocky Ben Simmons. He's not even Defensive Player of the Year. Look at Rudy Gobert. Let me throw these metrics at you, even though he's going to have trouble replicating that in the playoffs if, he doesn't get his shit together switching out on the perimeter. Like, I'm a Jazz blog, along with fans, the entire state of Utah, Jazz bloggers and media members are insufferable. I'm just going to say that to end on that note.
Hopefully D-Wade changes them. I love D-Wade.
No, the Utah fans are probably having a conniption now that Wade is part owner for other reasons I will not say on this podcast.
Oh God.
No, might be a skin pigmentation reasons, but
yikes. Yikes.
We're bringing it all here on the BOB. all the Jazz jokes.
All the Jazz slander. But yeah,
all the Jazz slander. I have it for you.
Again, it would make me extremely happy, and it wouldn't surprise me if the Jazz lost in the first round of the playoffs.
Yeah, no, it wouldn't. They're like the team on and they're the both ends of the spectrum team where I wouldn't be surprised. Well, if the Jazz keep the number 1 seed, because they would only have to face one of those big dogs on the path to the conference finals. But if they're anything lower than that, then yeah, an early exit to me is in their future, which I will, gladly just, enjoy.
If the Mavs drop and get that 8th seed, I can see the Mavs beating the Jazz.
I'm not ready to go that far yet. The Mavs are a little too inconsistent. They're not in. They've been playing better, obviously, but to me, they still have some very glaring flaws.
Luka's floating threes from the floating.
Luka is incredible. He has. Luka has been amazing, especially in the last 25-30 games. But I think the Jazz are a way more complete team and have better players top down. The Mavericks might have the player. It might be a Clipper situation where Luka can win 2 games by himself. But I think I have to give more respect to the Jazz in that. I think they're a more complete team and have better players top down. But
fair.
It'd be hilarious. I definitely would text you and be like LOL in all caps.
Yeah, I just don't. I have zero faith in the Jazz. I have absolute zero faith in the Jazz.
I have 2 faith in the Jazz, just the number 2.
Yeah, if they have to play, if they run into any of these other 4 big teams, there's no way.
I think they would lose to the Suns, the Lakers. I think the Clippers would edge them out in a close 6 or 7 game series. I think the Nuggets would lose. I think the Nuggets that's constructed.
I think the Nuggets would give them a lot of trouble.
I think Jokic would take a sledgehammer to Gobert all series, but I think the Jazz at that point, I think the talent level, exceeds the Nuggets. If you take away, obviously you can't take away Jokic, but you get what I'm saying. I think outside of Jokic, I think the Jazz talent takes over. The Murray injury really kills everything, man. I really think it does.
Their whole offense changed. That's what we started the show with, but their whole offense changes once he goes out. So shit happens. Anyway, that's our show for this week. Thank you all for watching.
Very awesome show today.
Thank you guys for listening. And,
thank you all.
And thank you all for listening for 20 weeks. If you guys have been here for 20 weeks, thank you for listening for 20 weeks. Appreciate that. That's awesome. But
you guys need better things to do with your time. But thank you.
This is true. This is true. But anyway, thanks guys for listening. We'll be back next week. See you then.
The B.O.B.